Well, hello there. Today is Sunday, February 11th, and you are watching the Viewscreen.
The Viewscreen is your weekly Star Trek magazine show, streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We've got features, news, and lots of love for our Star Trek family all around the globe.
Now, if you aren't able to watch us live, please come back to YouTube and catch us on the replay, or you can listen to us on a podcast. So just search on your podcast apps, the Viewscreen, BQN, and we will pop right up.
We really do appreciate all of your support. So I would like to remind you of the 287th rule of acquisition: subscribers equals profit. So please make sure you go ahead and click the like and subscribe button so that you never miss an episode of the Viewscreen.
You know, we are halfway through, Kelvin. Can you believe it?
No.
I know. Well, we have 52 YouTube subscribers. We would love to get this up to 100 by the end of our 10 episode season. So go ahead, share, subscribe, and a very warm welcome to our viewers out there. We've got Rashid always with us. Hello. Great to see you again as well.
Amy, I can't believe you're setting targets for us. It's like being at work.
Oh, yes. Come on. Let's do
only
this.
we don't have to do the work. It's the viewers. Please subscribe.
Yes.
We don't want to miss a target.
We don't. Well, Kelvin, how are you doing this week?
I'm really good. Look, I've got daylight at this time.
Wow.
It feels like winter is, leaving us. Thank goodness for that. But you may notice I'm in blue this week, and there is no coincidence because I've been a little bit medical this week because James has been quite unwell the last few days. So I've been nursing him back to health while he staves off a cold. And we keep saying to ourselves, I'm so happy that I'm ill now before the cruise, so it's done and out of the way. And so, lots of cruise preparation around cosplay, what uniforms we're taking on, the preparation for the looks. So really excited to discuss all things cosplay today. How about you?
We have the Super Bowl here, the big NFL football competition. I don't know. And we had a little pop-up from Paramount, so I was able to go. So that was really enjoyable. I'll talk about it a little bit later with Christos in the news segment, but that's been really fun, and the buzz and the excitement in the city is very tangible, and it's exciting. The big game is today, so I'll be watching that once I'm done here.
So does the Super Bowl move cities every year? Is it just a thing that it's hosted in Vegas for this year?
Yeah, it moves around since our stadium is the newest. When the stadium got built, that was the big thing. Well, the Super Bowl is going to come in 2024. And now here we are. I can't even believe it.
I love how you're having to straight explain this to me because it does not feature, but it's a little bit like the Eurovision Song Contest. That's kind of how I am mentally working it out, but with balls.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Okay, shall we see what we've got coming up on today's show, which I've already hinted is all about cosplay.
Absolutely. So we have with us Christos coming back to give us the news. Hello.
Hello.
And I would like to introduce Michael Nguyen, who's coming to us to discuss his fantastic cosplay. Hey, Michael.
Hello.
And it's my honor to bring in Spotted Girafe, very good co-host of Strange New Pod, and will also be showing us some cosplay as well.
Well, what's coming up on today's show? So let's get started.
Very good.
Welcome back, Christos. What's this now? Your third time on Viewscreen. I forget where we are with the weeks. So how have you been? I see you've donned a Strange New Worlds pod top there for us to join in with the cosplay fun today.
It was very good timing. This just arrived like on Friday, and I'm like, oh, perfect. And it fit, so I was pretty good out the. I was like, oh, I got my costume covered for Sunday.
Well, I'm glad you've had an opportunity to wear it then for us, and it gets its debut.
Yeah, it's going to have to wait because I think the next con I'm actually hitting is D&I Con in April, so that's cosplay is going to have to all stay off the on the side until then.
Wonderful. And how about you? Are you looking forward to the sports this afternoon?
I am sports ball, or the Usher concert, as some people are calling it, and the Taylor Swift show, and I don't know. It's just always fun. I know what you mean. I don't really pay attention to the sports, but it is one of those last things in America that we all experience at once. Like it used to be, we had all these shared experiences through television, but it's so disconnected now. Like I think the Super Bowl is like one of the very last things left that pretty much most of America experiences together.
Tim's just pointed out that San Francisco are actually one of the teams competing, so they get my support. Home of Starfleet Command.
That's a good reason for nothing else.
I mean, not to get like super political, but I'm rooting for Kansas City because that means Taylor Swift's boyfriend wins, and then MAGA will just be mad. So there you go.
Yeah.
Well, what have you got today for us, Christos?
Well, we've got quite a few things to cover in the news, starting with last Sunday's Saturn Awards. Yes, while most people were watching the Grammys at the very exact same time, the Saturn Awards were going on. And let's just say that Star Trek cleaned house. There's no other way to say that. And that's, obviously awesome for Star Trek. I think we won. I can say we won 4 awards that night. So
well done,
Star
everyone.
Trek won. Yeah, I know we're all invested in this. We're all on Team Star Trek, right? So Star Trek Picard won Best Sci-Fi Series, and that's no small feat. They were up also against Strange New Worlds, but against shows like Andor, which was really, really good. The Foundation and other shows like that. So it was like, Mandalorian was also nominated, which season 3, 4, whatever they're on now was not so great. But Andor was good. So I was really surprised, or not surprised, but happy to see Picard edge out and win, especially in its final season. Sir Patrick Stewart won Best Actor in a TV series for Picard. Jonathan Frakes won Best Supporting Actor, and Jerry Ryan won Best Supporting Actress. And Strange New Worlds did get 1 award. Paul Wesley won Best Guest Star on a TV series. So it was pretty big all the way around for them. And I got some pics there of our actor awards going on there. Jonathan Frakes was not in attendance because, as we'll talk about a little bit later, he's on to Strange New Worlds. But it was really cool. It was really Star Trek's night. There was a lot of chatter from all the other actors, just who were up there accepting other awards and whatnot, just really acknowledging, Star Trek and whatnot. It was also kind of a special night for Star Trek because Star Trek: The Next Generation was also honored with like a Lifetime Achievement Award type award. So it was really incredible. It was like I said, that kind of was framing the whole night. So everybody was there but Frakes and LeVar Burton, as you can see. Everyone looking really nice. And it was just really nice to see our Star Trek get celebrated, especially TNG being like my where I really grew my passion for Star Trek. So it was nice to see everyone getting some love.
And was this awards in the LA area?
Yes, which is where you get so many
actors
actors there.
That.
Yeah, I heard a lot of the red carpet and stuff like that, and I can chat a little bit about some of that. I mean, Marina's not going to miss a chance to get out there and get in front of the camera. Come on. I mean, and like going in knowing you're getting the Lifetime Achievement Award, so it's kind of worth the effort at that point, right? You're not just showing up nominated and maybe you'll win or something, but they were actually being honored that night. So it was nice to see everybody kind of show up. And like I said, I'm not sure where LeVar Burton was, but Jonathan Frakes had a really good reason not to be there. It was nice to see Will Wheaton in there with them because he doesn't always kind of get pulled in with the group. It's usually just 7. So Some online chatter about, where was Denise Crosby and stuff like that. But I'm like, I think this was appropriate, I mean, Wesley was, 3.5 seasons and then
Yeah.
some. But
Very
yeah,
good.
great night for Star Trek. In other news, Apple launched its Apple Vision Pro headset, VR, calling it VR experience, spatial experience. And, it retails starting at $3,500, which is no drop in the bucket. But at the same time, Roddenberry, the archive, Roddenberry Entertainment has released the Archive, which is a 2-hour Star Trek spatial experience where you can literally explore sets, explore, space. There's so many things. You can go on to the TNG shuttle deck or the shuttle bay and launch a shuttlecraft. You can walk around Quark's bar and like look at things on the shelves. I mean, it's like really immersive experiences that they
Wow.
offer. So I tell you, I was not tempted, but now I'm tempted. But I think that's just
how
kind of
much did you say that was?
$3,500.
Oh my lord! Wow.
Yeah,
Right, we need some more
it's one of those
Patreon
things that
subscribers.
maybe we want to wait for Gen 2. I don't know. It's like everything with
So
Apple, it starts expensive and then it drops off in price. But
yeah, it makes me wonder because there's the Oculus, that came out. Like, how is this that much better than the Oculus that does the games and stuff like that?
well, depending on what you do, this one is kind of in and out of reality. Like, so for example, when you put it on, if you're going to be doing things, you would see your living room, but then there would be things floating in front of you. So you're not losing in some of the applications of it, you're not losing reality. Like, some of those ones you put them on, you're in another world. And certain effects of this would do that. Like if you decide to watch a movie in there or something, you're going to be immersed in that movie. But if you are just kind of flipping through apps or doing like a Teams meeting or a FaceTime, it's like happening in the room and around the room at the same time. So your depth perception, I guess, or your reality of the room that you're in real life is not completely lost.
Right. Okay. Good.
But it's pretty cool stuff. So other news this week, Lower Decks hit digital actually this week. You can actually get season 4 on digital. And I think a big move that we've seen Paramount move on, or CBS, I should say here, is that they're starting to include special features on their digital releases, which if you've been around me long enough, used to be a big gripe of mine that if you bought a season on iTunes, you didn't get any special features. But I think starting with Strange New World season 1, they changed that. So Picard season 3, seasons 1 and 2 of Strange New Worlds, and now season 4 of Lower Decks, you get all the special features that would come on a Blu-ray. So there's a little bit more incentive then to go digital. But if you do want your Blu-ray, it does arrive at retailers in April. So lock in on that. Moving on to some other Lower Decks news. Big cameos are being teased for season 5, which, I mean, big cameos have always been part of Lower Decks. So I don't know why they say I think it's almost an expectation, I think, of the audience now that we're going to get that. But I guess we won't be disappointed is probably the great way of saying that. Tawny Newsome was interviewed on some of the red carpets recently, and she said that there are no season 5 really isn't in any sort of production delay because of the strikes, even though they did not have to strike. They could have kept on recording, but they stood in solidarity with the actors and did not record audio for Strange New Worlds Lower Deck season 5. So, so I don't know if that means we'll still get Lower Decks in August like we always do. It's, 4 or 5 years now. So it's kind of a tradition now that we get a season in August, but all we really know as far as
need to do the math of when Discovery will finish. So what's 10 weeks after the end of March? That kind of takes us around that time anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah, so and that's a little bit of a tidbit that's out there right now. Discovery season 5. There's a, I guess, semi-confirmed date around April 4th or 5th that we're going to get season 5. I think it's right before First Contact Day. But that seems to be 100% not confirmed, but yes, confirmed. I don't know. I think that's going to pretty much happen. Honestly, I think it's going to premiere several weeks before that in South by Southwest. So, I mean, you can't hold back when lots of people will have already seen the episode, and I don't know. So more to come there, but yeah, so that would be like all of April, all of May, maybe wrapping up season 5 sometime in really early June.
Mhm.
Doug Jones, speaking of Discovery, was also interviewed on the red carpet at the Saturn Awards and was just he's asked about Saru in season 5. And we talked about this in the episode synopsis a few episodes ago here on Viewscreen. But he is going to have this really I think going to be offered this really elevated type role. He did spill the beans a little bit in some news here that it's in Starfleet. It's not like a role for, Kaminar or with Vulcan or anything like that. But and he did tease that we're going to get more of Tarina. So I'm happy about that. And moving on to some production news, episode 4, as I said earlier, is being directed by Jonathan Frakes. This is why he did not make the Saturn Awards. I think they were already in pre-production last week. So anytime now, it could have already be that they are into production on episode 4. So it's moving right along. Section 31 is in production. And I don't think this was said last week when I was watching, but it's only estimated to be an 8 to 10 week shoot on Section 31. So it's not like a movie where it could be 3-4 months or more of production to get a regular movie shot, especially a science fiction movie takes usually a lot longer. So, I mean, if you're treating this more like a double episode or triple episode, I'm starting to get a little more confident that this is something that we're going to see in the fall. So, yeah, maybe it's your Thanksgiving Christmas treat. I don't know, but I think it's something coming this year because they should be pretty wrapped up by the end of March, I'm guessing, on this. So, yeah, looking forward to Section 31 a lot. Do we know if the movie is going to be shown all at once or in parts? I believe it's all at once. I expect this to be a 2-hour give or take movie. And I think it'll just be a kind of a one-time only. So yeah. And I think I would prefer it that way. I don't want to see like part 1, part 2. It's like we watch a movie. You want to watch a real movie. You want to see it all at once. I saw some debate about this.
There's a lot to look forward to, though, because we were all thinking that 2024 is going to be a bit of a non-year because of the strike, and now it looks like, yes, obviously Discovery has been pushed back, which in hindsight has probably been a good thing. We're going to get another Lower Decks and maybe even Section 31 this year, so we're not doing too bad.
I mean, I'm good with that. I mean, it's not terrible. And then we also don't know when Prodigy's dropping season 2, right? That's
correct.
That's I'm sure happening this year. So in reality, whether they drop it 20 episodes or 10, I think we're going to get at least 10 episodes of season 2 of Prodigy this year. So you're still going to get 30 episodes, let's say, of new Star Trek and potentially a movie. Not a bad year. It's looking up.
Yes.
Yeah, one other little tidbit. There was a lot of chatter on the red carpet about Legacy. And I think I just, want to address that. Like, I don't think anything's happening with Legacy right now. It's not. And they're being very upfront about that. And, honestly, I think the more time goes by, the more Legacy, the way we saw it pitched at the end of Picard season 3, it would not happen. It's just you're getting too far away from that. You're getting further away from actors. So I don't know. I'm not holding my breath on Legacy. Heard Tawny Newsome talk a little bit more about Starfleet Academy. She's talking about, hey, it's going to be fun. Don't forget, this is not all about kids. There's adults in this show, obviously. And the kids are, by the way, are going to be like 18, 19. They're young adults. They're not kids. So I don't think we're going to have the Wesley Crusher show or anything like that. And it's pretty much confirmed. Yes, it's not pretty much. It is confirmed that this is in the 31st century, the Discovery timeline. And even Doug Jones was talking about, hey, yeah, you'll never know who might cross over onto the Starfleet Academy show. And even the last little bit I lost there, right? Last little tidbit, Sonequa Martin Green teased cameos for season 5 of Discovery. So I don't know if I want to go deep here, because I love to speculate that us having our 800-year-old Romulan ship, how that connects to the 24th century, maybe there's video logs or stuff like that. I don't know. So
Right.
I don't know. What do you think, Kelvin? I see you.
Yeah.
I know everyone goes mad for it whenever you mention Romulan, but come on, please get Denise Crosby. Can we please have Sela?
Oh, yeah.
We wanted her in Picard. We didn't get her. Maybe there is a reason she's missing from the 25th century. Maybe she's been sent to the future. Who knows? It would just be... I think it would solve a little bit of an injustice that Denise has been kind of, not brought back and celebrated as much as the TNG crew. And I'd love it if she was on.
I was just thinking about that. It's like, yeah, I forgot all about Denise Crosby and that being something that could tie in very nicely. And I think finding out what happened to Sela is something that a lot of people would be interested in, So I am... I'm going to go with that, Kelvin. Let's cross our fingers and see if we get something to get a little follow up on Sela.
Well, Girafe's just put a comment there, so let's welcome back the rest of our panel. Let's bring in Girafe and Michael, because Girafe, you've got things to say by the looks of it about Denise Crosby and Sela.
We love it. I'm here for anything Romulan in Star Trek, anytime, any day, any series, any costume, anything. So yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I got to be dressed. I did the whole Romulan makeup on the Star Trek cruise last year and became a Romulan for a day, and I was living for it.
Yeah. You looked so good. Oh my gosh, so good. Yeah.
But were you a northern or a southern Romulan? Because you had the ridges, and I can't remember which is which now.
I think that's northern.
Is it northern?
I liked it even when I saw Amy for the first time. She didn't recognize me. So.
I did not.
Love it. And Michael, how are you? What do you think of Christos's news there? Anything you want to comment on?
I'm good. Years ago, I got an autographed Sela Star Trek action figure that, has been waiting in storage for its premiere moment. So, it is that one. Yeah, that is perfect. So I'm on board for it. Huge fan. Definitely anything Sela, Denise Crosby, bringing the Yar family, half family back into the fold.
I'm like loving on Denise Crosby right now. I just literally made the plunge and bought my tickets for DNICon in Philadelphia in April. And one of the experiences that they're offering is salsa dancing lessons with Denise Crosby. And it's limited to only 24 people. So it's a pretty intimate type of thing. So I'm like, that might be a little fun little experience. She's always so much fun on the cruise and so
that's going to be a lot of fun. We've seen Denise dance, and I didn't think she was a salsa dancer. So that's going to be so much fun.
If you like Sela, you need to read the Star Trek Defiant Annual from IDW that is all about Sela. The art is amazing. I actually just bought the original painting of the exclusive cover, which is in another room waiting to be framed. But it's the origin story of Sela, and it's so good.
You see that Star Trek Defiant?
Yeah, Star Trek Defiant.
I'm buying. I have a stack of comics on my guest bed of Defiant that I haven't. I've been reading the Star Trek one, but I haven't really read the Defiant one, and I have a lot of those issues with Sela on the cover. So I maybe need to get like
Yeah,
might be my tomorrow night activity. I
Let
like
me
to
see.
binge comic books because they're a short read, right?
Yeah.
So
And they're so yeah, that's the I don't know if you can see, but
yeah,
that's the
I
page
have that
just
issue.
got.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
It's
so
in the other
I
room.
own the original art.
Oh,
Look at
wow.
you. Well,
It
now
was
that
a
we
very
know we're San Diego
irresponsible
neighbors, I may have to
purchase.
come pay worship it or something. So
Yes.
I love that. Christos, thank you so much as always for all of that news and lots of Star Trek going on in the world, which we love to be able to report on. So we will see you and the rest of the panel a little later in the show.
Yes.
I love that. Christos mentioned about the award season as well, and the Saturn Awards, and how everyone else was talking about the Grammys. And my favorite artist, Kylie Minogue, won a Grammy Award for her single Padam Padam. So I love that Jerry Ryan and Kylie both won awards last week. So yay to my women. Love it.
Very good.
Okay. Well, let us continue with our cosplay themed episode and bring in Michael. So, Michael Nguyen, welcome to the view screen.
And
Thank you. It is so great to be here with you both.
I know, Michael, we have known each other now quite a while because we first met at the 50th, right? 2016.
It could have been even earlier, I think, but we've
Wow.
connected in the social spaces, and we do our breakfast routines or lunches in Vegas when we can. So it's great to see you all.
Yep. And I just know you as one of my favorite cosplayers. You're always wearing the best uniform, always accurate. And so I just wanted to bring you on and have you talk about like, why are you so passionate about it? What does it bring to your life, cosplaying?
Yeah, for sure. And I can pull these fancy slides up. So view screen on, I guess it's already on. Well, I mean, I've been a huge Star Trek fan for a very long time. I do some different things with, we have a Star Trek cosplay Facebook group with about 4,000 members. I also write for trekmovie.com in the convention and costuming space. But I think, today I'd really love to share with you kind of more of my personal journey with cosplay, a little bit sort of behind the scenes. And so I have a little quote up there that I think is really important to set the tone for costuming. And it would be really odd for anyone to tell you that there's only one way to live your life. And it would be equally odd for someone to tell you that there's only one way to cosplay. So, IDIC, infinite diversity. There is a place in the cosplay world for everyone, whether you wear a costume that took a year to make, or you got a t-shirt from a thrift shop and you added a Starfleet logo. I really think it's important to send that message that everyone's welcome.
Yes, that is a great philosophy, and one that I feel like coming brand new into it, have had to just tell myself, it's okay if someone says I didn't do it right because I'm doing it for me, not for them.
It's also quite refreshing to hear someone as seasoned as yourself, Michael, in cosplay, to say that it's fine to do entry-level cosplay of, dare I say, off the rack, and just put it on and you feel included and inclusive, as opposed to people who get custom, thousands of dollars monster maroons made, or people who spend hours and hours making their own. There's no right way or wrong way. It's very inclusive. So it's so lovely to hear you say that.
Well, I'll try my best to navigate here. And if we can go to the next picture, it's a perfect segue into this. And so this is just kind of my approach. If we had endless amounts of time and endless amounts of resources, then we would all have the VR thing that Christos was talking about earlier. We'd all have the $1,000 novices. Most people have other things, whether it be family, job, work, whatever, other hobbies, dare I say, even sports ball. But, if you're new to cosplay, or even if you've been around for a while, this is a great reset to always look at when you're thinking about getting something new. So, cost, is this something that's within my means? If it's not, could I get a cheaper alternative, or should I save until I can get the one that I really want? Comfort, is this something that I could wear for a whole day at a convention, or will I even wear this for a Halloween party? And then just closeness, there's a lot of conversation about screen accuracy. And there's certainly a place for that. We love it when we see it, right? Like that incredible spacesuit from Star Trek Discovery, two cosplayers did in Vegas a couple years ago. It's incredible. And I will take all of the pictures. But every person has to determine for themselves what level of closeness they really want to invest in this. And so for me, I made up this corny, cheesy term that my friends make fun of me all of the time for, is fun accurate. Is this costume enough accuracy for me to have the fun that I want to have? And as long as it is, then your costume is as accurate as it needs to be. And to kind of make my point, I have 4 pictures here in 4 different Wrath of Khan era costumes. I clearly have a problem, but all 4 of them, they're different. So 2 are from eBay. 1 was tailor-made for me, and then another one is a sweatshirt that I just added some stuff, and the badges are actually paper. So I'm not going to tell you which one is which, because it doesn't matter. But it's just sharing to show you that you can be in this universe, whatever your level of fun accuracy is.
Wow. That is very interesting to compare the 4. And yeah, you're right. They look great and you're having fun.
That's it.
There's also, as well, in this day and age that we live, a lot of what we do in terms of cosplay is for Instagram content and things afterwards as well. And looking at those photos, I'm sure that if we were shaking hands and having a drink at the bar at the masquerade, we may be able to tell the subtle differences and which was the most expensive. But from a photograph perspective, they look really good. So if people are not wanting to invest too much money for the sake of something like Instagram, it just goes to show that you can get some really good shots here.
Yeah, and I mean, there is a costume that I will tell you, the one with the FlameCon verbiage behind it. So that is the largest convention on the East Coast that celebrates LGBTQ contributions to the pop culture community. Takes place in August in New York City. So I choose to wear the one that's made of the thinnest material for that, because the heat and the humidity. So there's a place for all of these costumes. And somebody asked how many costumes I have. I really don't have a good count on it. Maybe about 10 years ago, someone asked me something similar, and I think it was about 30 at the time. So I don't know where we're at yet, but maybe we can do that census another time.
Nice.
And so if we can jump to the next one, this is kind of a favorite moment of mine. So props can really add some fun to your effort or to your costume and your outfit. And so I was cosplaying as Sulu, and I was at a small convention on the East Coast, and I have learned it's just plastic. It's not porcelain or china. And I just Velcroed it to the saucer so that it's easier to kind of hold and move around a convention floor. And by the way, if you ever need to cut through a crowded convention floor, nothing will move people out of the way faster than them believing you're carrying a hot cup of open tea. But when he saw that, we held it together, and he said to me afterwards, after he laughed, he said, "Now don't spill that," and I said, "Oh, I won't." And I flipped it upside down so he could see it was all Velcroed together. So sometimes props can add a little bit of fun and levity to your photos.
Yeah, and that mirrors what Am said a few weeks ago, doesn't it, Amy, about the, accessorize up, something that may be considered quite, I don't want to say basic, but something that everybody may be wearing, but your accessories and props can make a point of difference and really help you stand out.
Mm-hmm. And adds interest. Yeah.
And we can jump to the next one. And just that, sometimes with costuming, you get very locked into the precision of, your costume and the accuracy of things and getting everyone together at the same time. And I used to help with group photos at Vegas. And that schedule is very tightly wound, you know, synchronizing events between 3 stages. And so I showed up early for our Star Trek Discovery photo shoot, and Bill Burke, who passed away, but he used to work for CBS, you know, he looked at me and he said, "We have to change stages." And I was kind of freaking out because it's already in the program. It's already been announced. It's 10 minutes left to go. You know, how would we be able to get the word out? And he dutifully stood there and directed every disco cosplay to the next stage. And once we got set up for the photo, as you can see, the change was clear. And it was because the entire cast of Discovery was already on a paddle at that stage. So they just wanted us to be there at the same moment in time so we could take this picture together. And you can see Kenneth Mitchell and Sarah Middich there. So that just kind of helped me learn that, you know, sometimes as stuck as we are to the details of our costume and our convention plans, you know, if you're open to things, you never know what might happen.
Wow. Yes. You have to be flexible. Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah. And the next one is, I know it's tough to beat a photo with the entire cast of Discovery, but this is actually, of my years of cosplaying in the convention space for over 13 years now, this is actually my favorite one. And there are no actors, there's no celebrities, it wasn't on stage, but we worked it out to do Enterprise group photo after hours at the convention in Vegas. And we had so much fun, and it just happened to be some random Klingons were walking out of like Quarks, and we ended up staging fight scenes and photos, and there's so many more photos from that. But what really made this moment special to me was we all go to masquerade, right? As one does. Yes. And there was a woman maybe in her 50s or so, and her son who had recently graduated college, and they were in Enterprise jumpsuits. And we said, hey, you know, you need to hang out with us and you need to have a drink. And they did, and they stayed the entire night. And the next day she reached out to me and she said, you know, I just wanted to thank you because my son and I had never hung out like that before, where we're both in costume and having drinks. And she just wanted to say thanks. So it doesn't have to be a big photo for it to be meaningful, but that's one of my all-time favorites.
Oh, I love that story. Yeah, it almost like takes down some barriers, at least for me, when like I see someone in cosplay and then it's like, oh, okay, I can go talk to them. I mean, it's easy at STLV, but you know, even out there in the wild, to just have that common bond so you can just automatically go, and cosplay really does do that.
For sure. And we can
Marianne wants to say there's no such thing as a random Klingon. Thank you, Marianne.
They were there. They were waiting for us, probably. So
yeah.
And so this next one with cosplay, this is actually violating 2 preferences that I have. I'm not really into sleeveless or gold, and I don't typically cosplay villains. So this was breaking 2 of my rules. But you know, as I said, you know, I have done a lot of fan cosplay organizing and asking a lot of people to be here and be in this particular costume and don't be late and all these kinds of things. And my friends had asked me, you know, they're going to do a mirror mirror. Would you be the Kirk? And again, like I don't typically, you know, I prefer the more high collars, the kind of formal executive look. But, you know, I thought about it and I said, you know, in the cosplay world, you may ask a lot of people to do different things that make you happy or that get the picture together that you want. And so when other people ask you, you know, sometimes you can step outside of your comfort zone, be okay with the open gold sparkly shirt, and you know, just be a part of somebody else's fun.
Yes, that is very accurate.
Sorry, Amy. Michael, how did you feel after you'd done this cosplay? If you were a little worried beforehand, did you feel proud of yourself for pushing out of the comfort zone?
A little bit. I mean, I you know, the chance to help someone else have an experience that's more fun is part of it. And you know, I mean, it was kind of fun. Like I do not support or advocate the views of the Terran Empire, but it was fun and it was something different. And I think that that's something that costuming can offer all of us. There's a whole galaxy of options, and there's nothing wrong with doing the same thing that you like all the time, but sometimes breaking out of that box can sometimes make it a little bit more fun too. So
wonderful.
And yeah, so the next one, speaking of doing different things, so for I have, you know, young nieces and nephews and cousins in my family, and I think it's important to share with them that, you know, I have women characters in Star Trek that I admire and that I look up to. And so for about a year, the only new costumes that I did my rule was that it had to be a woman character. And I didn't do like wigs or prosthetics or anything, but I was hoping for it to kind of trigger conversations. And so, you know, the one all the way there in the red, people would ask, "Oh, are you Spock? Can I get my picture with Spock?" And I said, "Well, I'm actually Saavik, Kirstie Alley from Star Trek 2." And for a second, you know, they say, "Oh, the woman," and I'd say, "Yeah," and then I'd tell them why she's like cool and collected. She's an exceptional performer for where she was with her rank, and she has the captain's ear, the admiral's ear. And they're like, "Oh, okay, cool. Well, so I can still get a picture with you." And so I love that it gave me an opportunity to talk to people about why these characters are important. And that middle picture is of Jane Brooke, who played Admiral Cornwell, of course, in Discovery. And that was actually my first professional photo op in Vegas ever. So it was a lot of fun.
Wonderful.
And yeah, and so I think the last slide there is just, you know, in closing, I'd encourage people to think about the 3 C's, you know, cost, comfort, and closeness. It's not anyone's business to tell you how to prioritize those things. And organizing group photos that are accurate with celebrities can be fun, but it can also be fun to break outside of your comfort zone, to engage in moments that are special to others, and to find a way in your costuming to, you know, look at the Star Trek and the future that you want to see, and find a way to get that message of equality and equity into what you wear and what you project. So that's my share for the day.
Wow. That is so amazing. Yeah, let's bring in everyone. And I have to agree, those group cosplays are so much fun. We try to organize them, you know, STLV. Oh, Christos is doing fireworks. Woohoo! He loves it too. But like on the cruise, you know, we have those theme nights and stuff. Like we do try, and it just makes so much fun because you're gathering everyone together. So big fan of group cosplay.
Michael, I'm in a little bit of awe because you did Saavik, and that was like my first love ever. Star Trek 2 was my door in when I was like 5 years old, and Saavik remains to this day the only XO6 big figure I've ordered, because how could you not? So kudos to you. And I know what you mean with the gender bending a little bit. I always like to, you know, do Crusher and things like that, and just do it as me. In fact, one of my favorite cosplay pictures is Amy and I with Jonathan Frakes and Gates McFadden, and she's Troy and I'm Crusher, and they loved it. So
yeah,
so cool. That's awesome. Yeah, Saavik is such a boss. And I think what's so cool about her is obviously Vulcans manage their emotions, but you will not intimidate her out of a challenge. And I think that that's really important, especially for our current generation, with everything that they face, that just, you know, challenges can be scary. And I'll be respectful of that challenge, but you're not going to scare me out of it.
Yeah. And what about you, Girafe? Will you be applying Michael's 3 C's to your cosplay approach?
I have to say that I've yet to find a comfortable cosplay for me. It hurts a lot. I cannot feel my feet since I've been 17, I think. And I would love, like, you know, to be able to cosplay and not wear a corset or, you know, a wig or prosthetics. None of it is comfortable. Let's not lie. But yeah, maybe when I'll be, you know, too broken from years of cosplay, I'll do comfortable cosplays.
I
crush
love
it at cosplays.
I love cosplaying even on the down low. I got a couple of the Volante jackets, for example, and I think I sent some text to some of the people on the screen here last night. Like, hey, I'm going out to Inside Out. I'm going to wear my Volante jacket, which is very similar to the one Kelvin's wearing now. And it's one of those ones that if you get it, you get it. And if you don't, you just think it's kind of high fashion. You know what I mean? Yeah, I love those little nods. And you'd be surprised when you wear those, the Trekkies that kind of come out of nowhere and like, where did you get that jacket?
Yeah. I'm a brand ambassador for Heroes and Villains, so basically every single one of my clothes is nerdy at that point. And yeah, it's very cool how you can connect with people. We recognize, I don't know, I have a Harley Quinn bag, like Star Trek shirt, Star Trek jacket. You make new friends everywhere you go.
Yes. Well, Michael, thank you so much for sharing with us your cosplay journey and inspiring us to continue ours.
Thanks so much
Thank
for
you,
having
Michael.
me. It's been great.
Wow, Amy, this episode is really starting to get me so excited about going on the cruise in God, it's less than 2 weeks time.
It
Oh my Lord.
is. Yeah.
Oh, we've had such a packed show already, and we've got so much more to come just after this short break.
What else can you listen to on the BQN? Replicate yourself a mug of hot chocolate and join Amy, Mark, Christos, and Kelvin as they discuss everything and anything in the Star Trek universe on All Good Things. Boost yourself with an energy drink and join Davey on YouTube and Twitch for reviews and live streams of classic, cheap, and sometimes more recent video games on Bargain Bin Gamer. Brew yourself a pot of coffee and join Jeremiah to discuss Star Trek Voyager on The Captain's Couch. Mix your favorite cocktail and join Mark and Matt at Cinema Z to discuss the films you probably missed but should definitely check out. Pour a cup of tea, Earl Grey, hot, and listen to Stephen and Keith as they discuss the next generation of Trek on Galaxy Class. Get yourself something caffeinated and learn an interesting bit of history with Chrissy and Jason on History with the Zalogis. Have a bowl of Flo-Meek soup and join Thad and Chrissy and a guest to discuss new episodes of Star Trek as they are released on Infinite Diversity. Have something to sharpen your mind and put your Trek knowledge to the test with the Treksperts quiz. Take a bite out of something that didn't seem edible and join Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley covering all things in New Trek, including that show that is Trek in all but name, The Orville, on Union Federation. Get your Sunday brunch ready for the Viewscreen, a live weekly talk show hosted by Kelvin and Amy with featured guests talking about all things Trek. Pour a glass of wine and spill some tea with Christos, where he discusses current Trek news and events and explores the world of fandom via guest interviews, all with an LGBTQIA+ perspective on What's the Tea, Bev? And Patreon members get to pass around that green bottle of Aldebaran whiskey once a month on the round table, and they can listen to It's Green with Mark White and Amy's Math Moments.
Welcome back. So when Amy and I were first coming up with the view screen and we were deciding what kind of regular features we wanted included, we knew we wanted to kind of connect with all the Trek family, the viewers, listeners to the rest of the shows on the network, as you've just seen. But we also wanted to collaborate with other Star Trek podcasts out there. So I'd like to welcome our next guest, who is a host of Strange New Pod. It's Girafe. And can I just say, this is obviously the first time we've spoken, but I first came to know and love you through your participation on Treksperts quiz. I know you've been a regular over with Davey, and any episode that he has you on, I almost crash my car because I'm laughing so much. So I have to make sure I'm not driving if you're on Treksperts quiz. But welcome to the view screen, Girafe.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
Yes, I first also heard of you through Davey, and then Matt Harker is like, oh, you've got to listen to Strange New Pod. And now I am addicted to your show. I listen all the time. And yes, you guys are hilarious. Absolutely love just what you bring to the Star Trek community. That's just so different than what I'm used to hearing. So glad that you are with us today.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Strange New Pod. It's my family here, you know. I think that it was really for me my gateway to the to the fandom. And yeah, we're having fun, and you know, I'm glad to hear that we bring laughter and good times to our listeners. So thank you so much.
So I just wanted to ask, like, why do you podcast? You obviously have a love of all things sci-fi, but especially Star Trek. So what is it that you want to create content?
I think that at one point I've been a listener, I've been a consumer for a long time, and I think I came to a point in my life, and the society also came to a point where I realized that I could bring a different perspective, a different point of view on the content I loved so much, and that now there was a space for me to do so. And I think that being, foreign and a Black woman, I see things slightly differently than other people, and that's also what I like in Strange New Pod. We're a very diverse crew. That's why we never agree on anything. But it's also conversations that I wouldn't have if I stayed only in my community, for example. And I think it's one of the rare podcasts where I can be myself and at the same time grow and listen to others' perspective and maybe change my mind. I never change my mind, but I know Julian is in the chat being like, she doesn't even read the outline. And it's just fun. And I had like a very difficult couple of months personally in my personal life, and I connected to we record on Zoom, to the Zoom on Thursday night. We go live every Thursday, and for 2 hours I had fun. I was with people I love. We talked about Tuvix, of all
Oh
things.
my gosh.
And
Hilarious episode.
I felt like I had grown a little bit. And also we have the collective, which are our listeners and our patrons, and a lot of them have become very close friends. I'm not from the US. I'm alone here. I'm alone. And I have friends. I have a support system. I have people I enjoy, people that are here for me, people I'm here for. So yeah, it brought me everything. So thank you, Strange New Pod.
Oh, well, for the benefit of our listeners and viewers who have been under a rock and they've never listened to Strange New Pod, tell us a little about the show. What's the kind of the theme? What areas of Star Trek do you go into? Sell your show to us.
Sell my show. I think so. First of all, there's one rule: we love all Star Trek. There's no Star Trek that we would not review. There is no Star Trek that we don't love. Yeah, we're critics for sure, but at the end of the day, we love all Star Treks. And also, we are welcoming of everybody. We do not target anybody particularly in the fandom. We're a show for everybody. We are a show about everything Star Trek. And what we do reviews. So right now there's no news track, but we've been very busy these last years, just reviewing new episodes every Thursdays. Right now we're doing themed episodes. So for example, this week, the coming week, this Thursday, we're gonna do an episode on Geordi. Because it's Black History Month also, so we're trying to explore a little bit more the legacy of Black actors in Star Trek. I'm here for this. So yeah, I think it's just a conversation around episodes with people from different background and different community, and it's just all fun. We're here to remind everybody that Star Trek is fun.
Well, and you also do a lot of interviews. Like I
Yes.
heard your recent one with Billingsley and
Totally.
the Hollywood Food Coalition. And that I have heard John Billingsley talk about that a lot. But I learned so much more when he was just talking with you. Like you bring out something in people that is just amazing. So can you talk to us about like the interviews that you've done, some memorable ones?
Interviews are always such an unknown for me. I'm very self-conscious about my English, so every time I have to do an interview, I'm like, okay, it's gonna be all right. I even write questions that I never read. But I think that I love talking with people and I love getting to know people. Sure, I love their work in Star Trek, but in the end of the day, the thing I've learned about Star Trek is that anybody involved in that show is also a very interesting human being, and they all have quirks, and they all have, weird area of interest, which I do too. And so we ended up talking about Russian literature with John.
Yes.
Wow.
I know. I'm just like, I've never heard this before.
Because every time I've talked to him, he's always in this amazing library, and I'm also a literature teacher, so that's just Star Trek book, but I have like a bunch of book in this house, so I'm always interested in people's library. But every time I do an interview, I know that I always go into the mind frame of I'm talking to an interesting person, not a Star Trek actor. I want to know about your interest and how did you get to love Star Trek, and what do we have in common, or what can you teach me? So it's always very cool conversation. One memorable one was the Hageman brothers for Prodigy. I was in France, so it was 3 a.m. for me. And I barely remember what we talked about because I was so sleep deprived and so jet lagged. Or Fred Tatashore for Lower Decks. I think we laughed so much on that interview that we barely got like 2 questions out because it was a one-man show through the interview. So yeah, and we're always glad when people come to us, when people also are love our show. For example, we have people working in Star Trek who are our patrons, and for us it's such, I don't know, it's such not recognition, but it touches my heart, and I'm like, oh, they like what we do. So I get feedback from people working on Lower Decks, on Prodigy, like sometimes they're on our chat, and we're just like, thank you.
That's lovely. That's lovely. You guys also have a podcast festival approaching, coming up with the last days of disco. Tell us a little bit about that and how people can participate.
So it all started, that's our 3rd year. So it started 2 years ago. We started a Captain Picard's week around Captain Picard, and we, with other podcast friends, we're just going to create content around Captain Picard, and we're going to release that in 1 week during Captain Picard's week, which means for our listeners, it was a well said to discover other podcasts, and because we're all talking about the same theme, to see also how we differ, how we bring a unique voice, how we bring something totally personal and different in the fandom. So we did that 2 years in a row, and this year, I'm heartbroken by the fact that it's going to be the last season of Disco. Julian was our creator and editor and grandmaster of everything. Said we should do last days of Disco, and we should do 1 week of podcast just about Discovery and what Discovery means to us. We're partnering with the Jurassic Sisters, which is another awesome Star Trek podcast. And basically we're inviting any podcaster to fill up. We have a form. We can't accommodate everybody. It would be a month of podcast, and they're gonna create content episodes around Discovery, and we are going to release all these episodes throughout 1 week, which is the Julian is gonna kill me, the last week of March. I don't remember. Bad podcaster. And that means for any of the listeners of this podcast, they're gonna be able to just have a blast listening to 1 week of podcast around a theme. So that's it. That's just to get everything together, everybody together.
Okay. I'm starting to see what is taking place here. Okay. I'm all on board for this. This is great. How creative. Yes, very creative. Getting all of us together. That's great.
Now, Girafe, we can't have you on our cosplay episode without touching on the fact that you are one of the internet's most prolific Star Trek podcasters. So tell us you've literally thrown the kitchen sink into these slides, so you rattle through those. But yeah, tell us about your cosplay journey and some highlights, because there's just so much to look at here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait. I'm going to jump in and introduce her to this slide because I was there at Star Trek Chicago where Girafe wins the award given by Aaron Waltke at the Prodigy stage. It was so great. There was a whole bunch of cosplayers. We had the Enterprise in, but anyone for Prodigy. And we went around and Aaron Waltke was like, all right, should this person win? And we did a cheering and Girafe. And I was like, that's Girafe. I couldn't even believe it. I was so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know her. So yes, how did you get into cosplaying and winning awards at conventions?
I think I've always loved costumes. My grandmother taught me how to sew when I was like 5 or 6, and the first thing I saw was a princess costume that I still have the pictures of it. And I think I've never saw, I think 90% of the thing I saw are costumes. So before it was just like, I like costume, carnival, and so on. And then cosplay entered my life, and it was for me the perfect, Venn diagram, of two things I love, which is fandoms and sci-fi, and also creating and costuming. For me, costume is really a creative outlet, and I want to say it's February. It's 28 days of Black cosplay, so go follow Black cosplayers, give them some love. It's been complicated for Black women also to get recognition in cosplay, and having also fandoms that give them characters that we can cosplay and love. So here, for example, it's my Romulan cosplay. I've started with uniform. I'm in Star Trek. For Star Trek, I started with the Romulan, which was the first one I really made. Here you see me with Nichelle Nichols, which is a great mentor and an inspiration for me. It was her last convention. So I love wearing that TOS that TOS dress. But that is my Romulan, which I think really brought me to the first the stage for Star Trek cosplay. I'm at Star Trek Ticonderoga. I got a photo shoot there. That was just amazing, sitting in the chair on the bridge. It was great.
I've been there too, and what an amazing tour that is. Yeah.
Incredible. I drove from Montreal. It was my birthday. Okay, it was a birthday present from my husband, and there was only us and with a photographer, and it was so incredible. I nerded out so
Big
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is Star Trek Day. So if you remember, I was chosen to wear to get my makeup done by James McKinnon, who did the makeup on Picard. So I still have these prosthetics.
Oh,
They
wow.
were incredibly heavy to wear, but it was such an amazing day for me to just be around, Trekkies and all the love, and yeah.
So now when you made this?
Yes.
You're sewing and
I design, I draw my patterns, I buy fabric, I cut fabric, I sew fabric. So this I actually made over a weekend because I got to keep the prosthetics. Yes, I did. They're here in a frame just here. I when I was invited to Star Trek Day, they asked a few cosplayer what we're gonna cosplay, and I was like, I don't know, I'm gonna cosplay Nev. There are like some pictures of Nev later, I think. And they were like, well, would you be interested in doing anything like Vulcan or Romulan? I was like, absolutely. Yes. So I had the fabric already. It was in my cosplay plans, and I just saw that costume over Labor Day weekend. It was actually the very first time wearing it, and I was praying all the gods of cosplay that nothing falls apart and I didn't lose anything. And then they were like, yeah, you're getting a Romulan makeup, and I was like, yes.
wow.
Yeah, that was
Perfect.
incredible. That's Nev that I premiered at Comic-Con. That's the Strange New Worlds panel. So you see all the actors, and I got to come and show them my costume and ask question about it. Just being a nerd, Comic-Con is the grand mass of fandoms, and I blank. I think I don't remember that moment so well, but
Mm.
when I saw the picture, by the way, the picture is taken. I have a video of this shot by Bernadette Kraft, the costume designer. She sent that to me. Yeah, that's another panel. So
Oh.
it was amazing. It was just, like accomplishment for me also, and recognition of my craft. So yeah,
What
it's
did Celia have to say about that one?
about Nev. Okay,
Yeah.
so Nev, I remember seeing the first season of Strange New World, like the trailer, and there was just a shot of Celia wearing that dress, and I knew it would have something to do with Uhura. As you can see, I'm a little bit, obsessed with Uhura, and I remember saying, "I'm gonna make that dress. I'm gonna make that dress," and I couldn't see the whole thing, so I didn't know. And when we got to see the episode, The Elysian Kingdom, I think The Elysian Kingdom aired end of June, and I started right away, and I wore it a month later, and that's hours of work. I've made everything. I've hand painted the sleeves that have like intricate motifs on the sleeves, and I made all the belt out of EVA foam. I made the shoulder pads, all that. It took me nonstop work for a full month. And it's very heavy. That's this crown. I made the crown is very heavy also.
Mm.
But I like the fact that I love one time characters. Like I just love when they have an aesthetic that sticks with me. Right now I'm working on a Katrot cosplay, which is from Lower Decks, the one of the Betazoid agent from season 4. They are in
Wow.
one episode, and I was like, I'm making that costume right away. I started right away. And yeah, the people who help with cosplay repair should be sainted, absolutely. This is Bernadette Kraft, the designer of Strange New World, that I've got to know from cosplaying Strange New Worlds and making costume, and she's just looking at my dress, and that Julian took that picture, and for me, every time I look at that picture, I was so stressed because I was like, "Oh my god, what if she tells me that, it's good or something like this?" But she's the nicest human being ever. She's looking at my prosthetics at Star Trek Day. She's looking at my I get also to nerd out on the costuming craft with many people that work in costuming. And that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
like that dress, for example. I dyed the skirt, so there's this ombre that goes up to down. My whole apartment became a dyeing workshop. But yeah, that's the kind of thing that also I get from wearing the character. That's Star Trek Las Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah, incredible.
That's another one-shot wonder of characters is Vindicta from Lower Decks. I managed to get the whole crew, so I have a Tendi, I have a Shampoo, and I like these characters because they're slightly unhinged. I know Michael was saying he doesn't like to cosplay villains. I love cosplaying villains because I love acting out of pocket. So Vindicta is always a great character to cosplay, but only at Star Trek conventions because, again, a lot of people don't. Oh, Vindicta's gonna get your ass. So yeah, only at Star Trek conventions these characters are not well known. So
yeah, we know that one.
And that's back to my Enterprisian, and that's the same thing. I love Prodigy. It's mostly my favorite show. I'm wearing my Prodigy badge. It's made by people that are the kindest and the nicest people I've ever met, and also people that welcome everybody to their show, welcome everybody who loves their show. So that's a picture with Nami Malumad, who's the composer for Prodigy and Strange New World. I got to go to Let's Make a Deal which people randomly will send me pictures when they see the episode. I was like, I didn't know anybody was watching Let's Make a Deal. And
Yeah, they have a Star Trek Day, or is it
absolutely,
yeah.
And the funny thing is that we recorded that Let's Make a Deal episode the day they canceled Prodigy on Paramount. So
Oh
my phone was off for 5 hours and I was wearing a Prodigy cosplay. And
Yeah.
then I opened my phone 5 hours later and I have like text and phone calls of people like, did you see? And I'm like, I like literally wearing a Prodigy cosplay. And I have to say, to thank me for my cosplay, Aaron Walkie also gave me an original script of that episode, and that's the
nice.
kind of people who work on Prodigy. They're just awesome.
Yeah.
And this
Very cool.
it's from All Words a Stage episode, which is
Mhm.
my favorite episode. I think
Yeah.
one of my favorite episodes of Star Trek.
Yeah.
That's T'Pring. I mean, my take on T'Pring. My take on Strange New World T'Pring. T'Pring wears an actually Iris Van Helpen dress, which is fashion. I cannot afford that kind of dresses, but that's my take on it. What I think a Vulcan bride would wear.
Yes. Oh, I love it.
So
Yeah, more that's Doll again, Prodigy, Celia was gooding, and Bernadette Croft. I'm wearing prosthetics with normal clothes because that's also cosplay, I suppose.
Very nice.
I think this is the last thing, but the last on the last slide I sent you, when I spend so many hours painting my face, very often at conventions, once the day is over, we go to parties, and I'm gonna end up just keeping my makeup and just wearing clothes, and it became the thing. It became the Vulcan, the party Vulcans, and so we just show up with like prosthetics with party clothes and what are those boots in the pic of say? They're from a designer who's in Toronto. She is from Ivory Coast, and I just love those boots. Yeah,
Very nice.
I'll text me. I'll give you the the reference. That's at the Vasquez Rocks. I
Vasquez Rocks?
live in Southern California, so I get to go and nerd out there very
Mm.
often. But it's also for me cosplay is about creating a character. So every time, for example, these two, I didn't made these cosplay. I bought them, but it's all about making a weird character about with these clothes. So for example, here I'm a hashtag not the Jadvash. So I'm I'm pretending to be a Starfleet officer, but I'm totally Jadvash. I'm totally
Yeah.
Romulan undercover.
Yes.
And that was at Palmicon. So at San Diego, we have also a Comic-Con for dogs and cats who cosplay. And I was invited there, and it was just so much fun. And Barbie is the one I'm wearing today. It's from Pop Galaxy clothing. Also, it's a shirt I bought, but then it's about making the style and like also pretending to be a Barbie, and also
Mhm.
what would be a Barbie that is into Star Trek.
love it.
We talked about being a voice, and I've been blessed to be a moderator for Comic-Con panels or to be invited, and that's the thing I wanted to talk about because I'm also an educator, and I think that yes, Star Trek is fun, but also Star Trek is such a door for STEM and STEAM, for people to get into science, for women to get into science. And I'm not a scientist myself, but I want also my fandom to be a way to further progress. I always say that I'm not Uhura, but I could be our great 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 grandmother, and I want to pave the way for next generation to get to the stars, to leave that utopia that I unfortunately didn't get to leave. So for me, it's also using my voice and the little bit of connections I got from my craft to just bring out the good word and be able to also give voice to people who didn't have one until now. So
Mhm.
yeah, I hope I keep I keep doing it. Let's see. Absolutely. STEM, but also we were talking literature or languages. I want. I'm not this young anymore, and I got in late, I will say, but I want to make. I want to create as much as I can, and also open the door for as many people as I can. So
Right.
I hope I keep doing it. Let's see. That's more probably Vulcan at conventions. And I'm wearing a pin. I was wearing a badge during the strike saying that, this character would not exist without the work of SAG-AFTRA and Writers Guild work. So yeah, it's also for me a recognition to all the hard work that is done, not only actors but writers and costumers and musicians and all this. So we're all in this together.
Yes, we are.
Well, speaking of all being in it together, let's bring in Christos and Michael to share their views. My God, there's so much for us to see in those slides and for us to marvel and admire. Christos, what did you think of Girafe's slideshow?
Well, first and foremost, I remember watching that Comic-Con panel, and I didn't know you at the time, but now I'm watching it like, oh yeah, I know her now.
I was there.
That's really, that was pretty funny. I was like, oh wait, I remember all that. I remember that specific moment, and the designer was into you, like from Strange New Worlds, and that was a thing. And I was like, oh, it's kind of funny how small our Trek community can be. That eventually you'll meet everybody.
It's small, but yet so huge, and then it comes small again.
It's really funny. Like, I started off in the cons, back in 2017, I think, again, after I think a 30-year break almost. But it starts off with T-shirts, and then suddenly you're wearing uniforms, and then suddenly you're starting to be aliens, and suddenly you're just like, what was good enough 2 years ago is like, no, I can never do that now. It's and you're just like always upping your game. You're like, no, that looks too amateur.
Retiring cosplay is heartbreaking. I just retired my Romulan because I'm not happy with it, and I'm gonna remake one. I think it's gonna be version 5 at this point.
Wow.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking because it's a bit of your history, but at the same time, too much glue.
If you ever want to help a brother out, I'm right here. We're same town.
Yeah.
Michael, how would you kind of compare, apart from the heroes and villains aspect, how would you compare and contrast what Girafe was saying about what your approach is?
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I love villains, especially the ones that act so, ladylike or gentlemanly and scholarly, and yet they're so conniving. And I love them. I just can't sleep at night if I did that too much. But I really love, Girafe, what you said earlier on about just as a policy, you love all Trek, in your productions, and looking at actors and producers as people first, which is, I think, kind of how they want to be seen for more than just what they give us. But I just think it's really brilliant, what you and everyone does here, because, Star Trek is, going on nearly 60 years old, and it's the new things and the way that fans like you bring creative spins to your costumes that really keep it alive, and if those things went away, what would we have? So I thought that's really special what you do, and I think it's so cool.
Thank you.
And guys, I asked Pam this question a couple of weeks ago when he came on to talk cosplay. But if you were to give someone any advice who may be a little intimidated about starting off at cosplay, maybe they're going to their first convention and they feel a little nervous, what would be your best advice to give them? Do you want to start off, Michael?
I think I'll always bring it back to the 3 C's, but also just, it's when everyone has to take that first step, and we watch a show that is about first steps. And so, I think Q said it, and I won't try to say because I'll ruin the quote, but about the galaxy being full of wondrous and amazing things. And he's a little bit mean when he says it's not for the timid, because I think we all are a little timid. I'm in New York City, so you see a lot of weird things in New York City, but I'm like, I'll just put my Vulcan ears on when I get to the convention. I don't want to wear them on the train. But, you know, just it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable at first, but just go for it. And just you'll find on the other end of that great barrier a wonderful and accepting and encouraging community of people like everyone here.
So wonderful. And how about yourself, Girafe?
I would say find a character that inspires you, somebody you would love to be, somebody that empowers and embodies the virtue, the principles that you believe in, and be them. Just don't be you, be them. Like I started by Uhura because I wanted to be Uhura, you know? I wanted to bring that. And it's always easier when at the beginning it was always easier when I was not me. I was a character. So and then it gave me strength as a person to be me. So I would say, yeah, take yourself out of the of the equation if you feel too intimidated, and just role play that character, be that character, and bring what that character brings into the world, but through you. That makes sense.
Wow. Well, I would like to thank all of our guests for coming on today. Thank you so much. This has been so like visually rewarding, and like I've learned a lot. So let's go around and see where people can continue the discussion. So Girafe, where can people find you online?
You can find me on, I think, almost everywhere at lyrical_giraffe with one F because it's French. And I'm live with Strange New Pod at Strange New Pod everywhere. Also, every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. Yeah, come say hi. I'm also at like every convention. Just come say hi.
Awesome. Thank you. And Michael, what about you?
Yeah, the easiest way to find me is on Instagram at Michael's Cosplay 1. And you can also connect with a 4,000 strong Facebook Star Trek costuming community at Star Trek Cosplay on Facebook.
Excellent. Well, thank you again. And Christos.
You can find me on Facebook and the BQN Collective group. Find me on Insta at Greek Geek SD or at What's the T-Bev. And also watch out in the next few days for a new episode of What's the T-Bev. So just going to finish editing it.
Very, very good.
And Amy, let's not forget ourselves. Where can the good public find you online?
Oh, well, you can find me in the BQN Collective Facebook group. That's the best place. And then I do some podcasts, All Good Things. When that comes on, when Viewscreen is done, we'll be back on All Good Things. And I also am co-host of Union Federation, and we've got some good Union Orville stuff coming up. So you can find me there. And Kelvin, where can people find you?
Well, I am on the socials at Kelvin's Timeline, but also in the BQN Collective Facebook group, and looking forward to rejoining All Good Things when that returns here on the network in not long, couple of months' time.
Yes. Well, we do have a question in the chat. Kelvin, where did you get your Star Trek uniform? Ron is interested to know.
Thank you, Ron. It's two-part answer. So the undershirt is from Cosmart, which is a vendor on eBay, which is quite prolific and very, very affordable as well. A lot of us have the Cosmart uniforms, but the over coat, the coat part, is from Filmwelt, which is a German-based provider, and it's really thick. I made the mistake of bringing this on the Star Trek cruise a couple of years ago, which was in the Caribbean. Walked outside and nearly burned alive. It was so hot. For a winter convention, or if you happen to be in cold Manchester in England, like I am, it's great. And I just think the color finish on the yoke here is a lot better than some of the others that I've seen out there. So it is actually, it's tied with the TNG Scant to be my favorite uniform out of all of the Starfleet offerings Thanks.
Yes.
Well, we would love to hear what you thought of today's episode, and we hope that you'll join us on our Facebook group, as we've mentioned, the BQN Collective, and we can continue our discussion over there. Please remember to hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube so that you never miss an episode of the Viewscreen.
Yes. And if you'd like to support the network, please head on over to patreon.com/BQN. And don't forget, hit that like, subscribe. Remember, trying to get up to 100 subscribers for our YouTube channel. Yes, Ron says it right. Hit the like button. Absolutely.
Ron. Amy, what have we got coming up next week?
Another packed show, you guys. Kristen is going to return with our Star Trek news. Now, get your Latinum, because we're going to have Christian Carter talking to us about all things Star Trek merchandise that's out there. I know. Make it rain. And then we have special guest Jason Anderson, who's going to give us a little political perspective for 2024. Because there's a couple things important happening this year in the future.
That's all, same time, same place. Thank you as always to all of our guests and you viewers, to David in our control room. But for now, it's time to end transmission. See you later.